So what makes a bad Transformer toy? Well, it's a pretty subjective thing when you think about it. What is bad to some, bad colors, bad design, looks great and unique to somebody else. And meanwhile, people might absolutely hate a character because he's just overproduced or he just gets too many toys that are alike. Everyone's got their own opinion on what the worst Transformers ever are, but sometimes people want to speak those opinions, and doing so really shows just how little knowledge in the field they actually have. So today we're going to look at one of these top 10, we're going to look at one of these weird and worst Transformers lists that I did not do personally. And we're actually just going to see what someone else thinks, just so we can compare, because I'm the plastic addict guy. I should know. If you like what you see today, remember to hit like and subscribe on your way out. And of course, if you're so inclined, $1 or 2 in Patreon helps me tremendously. And I thank everyone for their support. Let us begin. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I have chosen a list from thegamer.com because the article they posted does not have a particular staff member's name attached, so I'm not directly targeting anybody. And also, it's not terribly old. This is from October 2018, not completely out of date. Still gonna cover pretty much everything we need. And because the very first image they started off is a massive, massive problem. But we'll get to that when its number comes up, because there's 25 entries, so I'm going to try and go through these quickly. And we'll just kind of go through what you don't want to do in a top 10 or top 25 list, the things that expose you as not as knowledgeable as you come across, as you're trying to present yourself as. Because if you're going to present a list like this, you gotta seem like you know what you're talking about. So when the first one on the list is the McDonald's Happy Meal changeables, I already suspect you don't know what you're doing. Because these aren't even done by Hasbro. These aren't Transformers. They are robots that transform, but they were done by McDonald's to cash in on the 80s robot trend. That's it. And when you look at it in that perspective, there's nothing wrong with them. It's McDonald's turning their own product into transformable robots. They are some of the most popular transforming, well, some of the most popular Happy Meal toys in general ever. I did a whole video about my love for this entire toy line. There's nothing wrong with them for what they are. Oh, and by the way, they were free. We're going to get to that once we get down to the bottom of the list and what is the top of the list, technically. But yeah, this is already disqualified because it's not a Transformer. Then Pretender Cloudburst, picked on because of the fact that he just looks like, let's see, where was the article? Where is it listed? Humans with stupid looking armor. I mean, if you're an 80s kid, that's debatable. Let's see, little robot, and the robots look really cheap. Okay, yeah, we agree that, most pretenders inside the shells don't really stack up to a modern Transformer. They're gangly, their vehicle modes are kind of forced imagination to see them. But he picks on him because it just looks like an out of shape guy in a spacesuit. That's fat shaming, sir. Big people can be heroes too. All right? Shame on you. The Nike shoe Optimus, I'm okay. So this is getting into the realm of, okay, maybe weird toys that should never be made is an appropriate title for this article. It's a brand dealing. It's the kind of thing that happens, but it's a weird novelty. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with being just an oddball novelty for the sake of getting to, the Nike collector out there, the shoe collector, which, I've been finding out the last couple of years is like a way bigger thing than I ever realized. But at the same time, like, it's a little weird to see Optimus as a Nike. I get that, but it's nothing harmful. It's nothing terrible. It works. It works for the most part. But then we get to the next listing, which is the Shoe Megatron. Okay, the one thing you don't want to do in your list when you do a top 10, top 25, top whatever, the one thing you want to try to avoid is duplication. You don't want to have the exact same gripes over and over again, because then it just makes it look like you're picking on that one thing for not being what you particularly like, or just having that one chip on your shoulder about that one particular gimmick or toy line that you just want to keep poking at. But in this case, it's because it's the thing you just talked about. just with a different color scheme and head. So it comes across as though you only had 24 ideas and went, oh wait, what else? What else? This article's due in 5 minutes. I guess, okay, copy paste that one, because then they'll just replace the picture. Done. Good enough. Doesn't impress me. Hey, look, a plastic addict victim. So, Injector I can kind of agree with. And not because I think, of course, I think it's a particularly bad toy. I think for a Fuzor, it is very low effort. It doesn't blend the robot, and it doesn't blend the two beasts as well as most Fuzors did. And even if it's a weird concept, it makes it look for a unique figure. But even when you account for that, the transformation is bare bones basic. It is like McDonald's or, Rescue Bots level transformation. It's nothing impressive for Beast Wars. He just feels like a low effort attempt that was basically built around that frill gimmick from his fish head. That's basically all he comes down to, is just that one gimmick and a very loosely designed body to accommodate it. Yeah, Injector I think could have been done better. Oh, hey, look, remember that thing about duplication? So now we're going off on Stranglehold. Yeah, the Gladiator Freddie Mercury. And the Inner Robot, which, get this, the Inner Robot's better than the last one he talked about. Okay, so like number 24 was just a normal Pretender with where the robot mode inside has, is pretty bad as a transformer. But then he goes with Stranglehold later on, as that's higher up the list. Even though the robot is beefier for its size, it looks more like a normal transformer. It has a decent robotic beast mode. I mean, I would call this better than Cloudburst. Apparently not. Apparently Stranglehold is worse. Oh, I will throw fists over this one. I will throw fists. There's nothing wrong with Airhammer whatsoever. Airhammer again. Nice blend of the beasts. That's what I like out of a Fuzor. I like that it shifts between the two in different ways. I like to see that shark element in the white of the Falcon. All that works really well. And he's a fine little toy. He's a fun little transformer. There's nothing wrong with him at all. It's just, and now again, it comes across as if he's picking on the Fuzors and Pretenders in general. They are weird toys, yes, but I think there is a place for them both. I think for their times, they were novel ideas. For the series they were in, they were novel ideas. Pretenders definitely could have been done better, but Fuzors, for the most part, I think did pretty well for themselves. I think they actually did what they were meant to do. I haven't even hit number 20, and this is the third Pretender on the list. Though I can kind of agree with this one. The Pretender monsters, I don't like the beast modes in Pretender monsters. I will admit that, because most of them barely look like they transformed at all. And then the shells don't do anything. There's no action feature to the shells, no accessories for them. They're just little rubber shells you cram a transformer into the back of. They don't really do anything or really fit the Pretender concept the way that the larger figures did. This one, you bought all 6, you put them on Structor together, and then you had nothing to do with the shells ever again. That was the big flaw to them. Like, the shells did nothing. They just stood around. If you like the designs, nothing wrong with that. If you like the designs of the shells, that's perfectly fine. And I know people who do. I just feel like they really should have been better toys. In all facets and regards. It wouldn't be a hacks list of bad Transformers without Wheelie, would it? That's always the favorite one to pick on. That's always the one they go to. It's always going to be Wheelie because, hey, wasn't he annoying in the cartoon, everybody? Yay, I win. No. The toy isn't great, but he's, Okay, aside from the weird way they handled his head, it's not the greatest of G1 toys. It's not the greatest of the mini-bots. But it's okay for what it is and the time it came out in. At the time, yes, it would have been disappointing, but I don't know. I think it gets a little bit more hate than it really should, honestly. Interrogator. So this one I read up on this list already, of course. So the big thing in this one was that Terragator is another ridiculous idea for a toy. He's an alligator snapping turtle. That's not a ridiculous idea. That's taking a real world animal and just being literal with the name. That's it. Like, there's nothing wrong with him. I mean, there's a few things wrong. He is a shell former. Most of his beast mode you pull off of him and turn into shields, guns. I definitely feel like he could have been better designed, but for the most part, I don't think he's definitely not as bad as like being 16 on this list. There's far worse in Beast Wars than this. No retracts on the list yet, by the way. Okay, double header I can kind of get behind. So the Autobot pretenders are pretending to be human space marines. Okay, fine. What human space marine would have two heads? That's a little bit of a debilitation, I think. I think that's a little bit of a giveaway that you are not exactly human. In this case, I don't know. Yeah, this one, okay, fine. That blows the whole disguise thing. Get it. Beast Machine's Cheetor. It's a bad toy. I don't know if it belongs on the top 25 list, but for the most part, it's not great. It's not great. It could have been done better. It's got issues. We saw in the most inappropriate Transformers what issue this toy has. I hesitate to call it that bad, though. Bad enough to pick on, but not enough to, like, put on a list like this. I'm not even going to bother. This is the fourth time he's picked on pretenders. There's nothing wrong with Bugley. Moving on. Scourge. Confusing figure. Way too many colors going on. Way too over complex looking in robot mode. I don't like the big digitigrade legs. Yeah, he just looks super awkward. So, okay, for a big transforming locust, I kind of get this one. I'm thinking maybe again, I think I'd be better on Scourge if the color scheme was a little bit more concentrated. But yeah, he's definitely on an addict list somewhere. Hammer Strike, I can see why you put him on the list, but it's really not fair. I really liked Hammer Strike. Of all the toys I've lost to clear plastic, this is the one I miss the most. He's fun to play with. The transformation's neat. I love the shark mode. Shark mode looks absolutely awesome. Yeah, the robot mode is very alien, but hey, we can't all be perfect. Yeah. At least this is a deep cut. At least he's not going to like straight to like Wheelie again or anything like that. All right, so okay, fine. You pulled an obscure one. I don't agree with it, but to each your own. Another addict victim. Arachnid is definitely one that needed to be made, but definitely that toy should not have been made. Needed a lot more work before it saw release. This one, yeah, I would put it on. I would definitely put it on a list of like 25 worst Transformers. I don't think it would be as high as number 10. But at least if we're hitting the top 10, you're hitting addict victims. So this one, yeah, we can agree with. 5. Let's see. Cloudburst, Beasts. Let's see. Cloudburst, Beasts, and then Monstructor, Doubleheader, Bugley. Yeah, this is 5 times. 25 entries, 5 times he's gone to Pretenders. And this is probably one of the better Pretenders. The robot doesn't just look like a scrawny guy doing a yoga pose. It looks like a Transformer. He's a little anorexic for a bear, but give him credit. He looks like a robot bear. He transforms into an actual robot. There's nothing wrong with Chain Claw. For the time, yeah, this is at this point, your expert opinion is called into doubt because you just keep going to the same well over and over and over again. At this point, we get it. You don't like Pretenders. Fine. Pick one as the spokesman for that entire subset of Transformers and move on. This could have been a top 20 list, and you would have saved so much more of my time, and this video would have been a lot shorter. But no. We have to just keep poking at the Pretenders. I will agree, Pretenders should have been a lot better, but come on. There's so many better choices for this kind of list. Okay, so the Transformers GoBots, I think, were needlessly complicated. I could kind of agree with him on here. Obviously, like, Aside from a very weird Optimus Prime, there really wasn't anything of note in them. There were 6 completely new random characters with barely any fiction behind them. Yeah, this is another one where, yeah, this one I can kind of get down on. This one, yeah, they weren't good. They really weren't, were they? You know, it's a novel idea, poorly executed. Just made them way too complicated. Why is Cup on this list? God, there really isn't anything wrong with Cup. Like, especially if you're thinking about the '86 Transformers, like you're thinking like year 3 Transformers, where like a lot of the more basic articulation went away in favor of just up and down shoulders, or in the case of Hot Rod, just the up and down elbows. There's nothing wrong. People make fun of Cup because he transforms into an alien pickup truck because he doesn't have a tail. He doesn't have a tailgate. Like, what's the point of a pickup truck without a tailgate? Now I'll ask you, what does an alien truck need with a tailgate? For all you know, it's a magnetic bed, or it's like a gravitational bed, and it can hold things in better than a normal tailgate can. You don't know. Also, who cares? It's an alien vehicle. There's no rhyme or reason to how he works. Also, the robot mode is actually pretty good for its time. It looks decent enough. It looks a lot better, a lot closer to Cup than a lot of those '86 movie toys did. And it has great articulation for an old Transformer, by the way. Like, he's got a lot of swivels and hinges in those arms. Like, he's a great little figure for the time. This is just unfair. This is unfair. Top Spin, also unfair. Top Spin's a gimmick toy from G1. Don't really need it to do anything else. You don't, like, you pull it back. Like, it flips forward on its own to transform on its own, and that's what it's supposed to do. And beyond that, he looks fine. The robot looks fine. The vehicle is a little weird, yeah, but it's an alien spaceship. Like, what do you expect it to look like? Again, just picking on things for the sake of picking on them. Generations Windblade, no. I will agree. The only thing wrong with Generations Windblade was the engineering on it was just not solid enough. You know, some tighter hinges and some tighter joints here and there, and a little bit more cleaning up in the jet mode, and the toy wouldn't have had a single problem. You know, I like the unique look. I like that so much of the fan base stuff went into it. Yeah, there's a good toy in here, held back by just a few tolerance issues, in my opinion, and a couple balancing issues. But for the most part, yeah, there is no way a toy like Windblade should ever reach this list when we still haven't seen Retracts. We still haven't seen G.I. Joe or Titanium Megatron. Again, all right, all right, all right. So, Savage Noble is, yeah. Savage Noble in the cartoon is a plot point. Savage Noble is not actually a real character. It's a disguise Megatron took on in Season 2 of Beast Machines. There is a plot element there, but it exists solely for the sake of giving Night Scream a little depth, and that's questionable about how successful it was at that. The toy itself looks terrible because most of it's taken up by the red of the dragon mode, so you can barely see the Wolfman. Yeah, and then there's nothing to do with the wings. The wings part form. This is the type of toy that should be on this list of toys that should have never been made. Because, yeah, there's no reason for it to exist. And especially when this got a toy, but Botanica, a major character who added to the overall plot really strongly. No, she doesn't get a toy. No, this guy does. Future plastic addict victim, by the way. So top 3, what are we going? Hey! Bravo. All right, so of course, you do have one here at the top 3 that I immediately agree with. This is an awful, 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 awful toy with no salvaging it in sight. The only thing redeeming about Beast Machine Silverbolt is the fact that to find out how bad it was only cost you $5. That's it. That's literally the only way the pain goes away. This one, even the Takara repaint of it couldn't save it. This is just a terrible toy all the way around. It's too small. It's too colorful. It's just not what it was supposed to be. Why is this so high on the list? I will agree that they are weird toys for what they are. They are very weird. Megatron in this one transforms into a can. Or at least what looks like a can. They are not great. However, they're not supposed to be great. They are free toys from a Happy Meal for 5-year-olds. And to lump them in with mainline toys with full price points and price tags on them is the epitome of unfair. You're comparing something you got for free to something that you paid money for. You have to factor that in or it's just not fair. Like, one, anything you get for free and you immediately go, well, this is crap. How stupid do you sound? How stupid do you sound? Fine, if you don't like it, it's free. Who cares? Like, you're not out anything. Your kid still got fed. That's what you bought the Happy Meal for. The toy comes with it, so don't scream in the car on the way home. You know, it's basically a distraction. And in that case, these were fine. You know, they were very rudimentary transformations, but they transformed. Like, they actually worked as Transformers. It's the only toy line where Night Scream's actually in scale with anyone. Yeah, this is incredibly unfair. It's incredibly unfair to compare free Happy Meal toys to like $20, you know, Deluxes and Voyagers. You just can't do that. Immediately. It immediately strikes you from having any credibility. Lay off them. They were free. They were promotional items. It's like getting upset with a store because the flyer's designed poorly. It just doesn't, it's not how it's supposed to work. So what's the number one? Was the number one weird Transformer that should never have been made, in this guy's opinion, or girl's opinion, I don't know. One, low-hanging fruit. Anyone who puts G1 Ironhide at the top of their top 10 worst toy lists doesn't know what they are talking about and has not done nearly enough research to call themselves any level of expert that should be putting a list like this together, especially for a big website. This would immediately, like if I was the editor on this site, this would immediately get this article deleted. I would have never allowed this to get published because it should have been taken right back to square one. Come up with actual weird Transformers. Come up with actual bad Transformers because these ain't it. And stop picking on the same thing over and over again. I've got a whole other thing for Ironhide. We're going to talk Ironhide another day in another format. I'm going to end it here because this video's already gone on too long. But that's just one example of a top 10 list, or a top 25 list in this case, gone wrong because the author wants you to think they know what they're talking about, really doesn't. I've dedicated a long time to knowing what a bad Transformer really was and what you really have to look at when it comes to deciding what makes a bad Transformer what it is. I'd like to think that over 10 years of research into these things lets me have a little bit more of an opinion than these people do. So I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about Ironhide a later day. But when we come back to Here's 10, let's come up with a real list of the worst Transformers of all time. The ones that really shouldn't have been made. And we'll see exactly how bad it is. And guess what? That top 5 I made a long time ago, we've made changes since then. So join me. We have some exciting stuff coming up. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.